care. All the change.
At negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, exposed skin develops frostbite in under 10 minutes. Saliva freezes before it hits the ground. The moisture inside your nostrils crystallizes with every breath. Car batteries die. Pipes burst inside heated buildings. The city of Chicago tells its 3 million residents to stay indoors, seal the windows, and wait it out. Roughly 68,000 people in that same city do not have an indoors to retreat to. When the polar vortex drops temperatures to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, with wind chills pushing negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit, these people do not get to seal a window or turn up a thermostat. They have to eat, sleep, and keep their blood moving in conditions that can shut down a human body in under an hour. The ways they manage to do it are so resourceful, they border on engineering. And the first challenge they solve is not warmth, it is wind. Chicago does not get cold the way other cities get cold. It gets cold sideways. The wind off Lake Michigan turns a night at negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit into a negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit assault on every square inch of exposed skin. Wind chill is not a number meteorologists invented to scare people. It measures how fast your body loses heat, and at negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit, that rate is fast enough to cause permanent tissue damage in 5 minutes. Every survival decision starts with blocking that wind. Tent cities under highway overpasses and viaducts exist in Chicago for a reason that has nothing to do with privacy. Concrete overpasses break wind speed by 70 to 80%. A tent pitched against a viaduct wall with the opening facing away from the lake sits in a pocket of relative stillness, while the air 20 feet above it moves fast enough to knock a person sideways. The clusters along the Eisenhower and Dan Ryan expressways are not random. They are positioned where concrete pillars create wind shadows large enough to shelter multiple structures. The tents themselves get layered. A base tent, usually a standard camping shelter acquired from donations or pulled from a dumpster behind a sporting goods store, goes up first. Then tarps over the exterior are pulled tight and anchored with whatever has weight, pallets, cinder blocks, bags of sand from construction sites. Some tent clusters use shared walls between adjacent shelters so the body heat from multiple people insulates through the barrier. At the entrance, a blanket nailed across the opening creates a dead air vestibule. You push through the blanket, step inside, and the temperature difference is immediate. Still freezing by any normal standard. But the wind is gone. And without wind, the survival math changes completely. One man who spent 3 winters under the Eisenhower Expressway told someone the viaduct did not make it warm, it made it possible. Everything else had to make it warm. The wind is blocked, but concrete and canvas do not produce heat. At negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, even a sealed tent with no airflow drops to dangerous temperatures within hours. And fire, the obvious answer, is the most complicated decision anyone sleeping outside in Chicago will ever make. The fire department confiscated propane tanks from homeless encampments during the 2019 polar vortex. They were not being cruel. Propane inside a fabric shelter is an explosion waiting for a spark. One punctured line, one tipped canister, one blanket draped too close, and the person next to you is on fire inside a structure that melts in seconds. People have died this way. Open barrel fires in encampments serve a different function. They are communal heat. You stand near one and you warm your hands. You rotate your body slowly to distribute heat across every surface, but you do not sleep next to one. Sleeping means unconscious, and unconscious next to open flame in sub-zero wind means a coat ignites and nobody reacts in time. So what do people actually sleep with? Body-generated warmth is managed through layering systems that would impress a materials scientist. The base layer traps moisture against the skin, where body heat converts it into a warm vapor barrier. Experienced winter sleepers wear a tight synthetic shirt, never cotton. Cotton absorbs sweat and holds it against the body, and in extreme cold, that moisture freezes against the skin. The phrase "cotton kills" circulates through every outdoor survival community and every Chicago encampment for exactly this reason. Middle layers handle insulation. Thrift store wool sweaters, fleece donations from shelters, and church coat drives supply the heaviest winter gear available. 2 medium layers outperform 1 thick layer because of the air pockets trapped between them. The outer shell blocks wind and moisture. A large garbage bag with head and arm holes cut into it functions as a waterproof, windproof outer layer when nothing better is available. It looks absurd. It works. Inside the tent, sleeping happens between layers of cardboard below and every blanket available above. Cardboard beneath the body blocks conductive heat loss from the frozen ground, which steals warmth faster than the air does. Body heat trapped inside a cocoon of fabric, with that cardboard barrier underneath, creates a temperature zone that holds survival conditions even when the air outside the blanket stack drops well below zero. 2 people sharing a tent double the heat output. 3 people generate enough combined warmth to keep the interior above freezing through most of the night. It's not comfort. Nobody confuses it with comfort. It's the difference between waking up stiff and not waking up. That system keeps people alive until sunrise. But alive and functioning are not the same thing. A body burning calories all night to generate heat wakes up depleted. Finding food at minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit in a city where walking 5 blocks could cost you a toe is a survival challenge that rivals the cold itself. Soup kitchens and church meal programs are the backbone of homeless food access in Chicago. During polar vortex conditions, many of them extend hours and increase portions because the organizations understand something the rest of the city often does not. At extreme temperatures, food is not nutrition. Food is fuel. Calories are heat. A hot meal at a soup kitchen raises core body temperature more effectively than any piece of clothing because it works from the inside out. Digesting a heavy meal produces metabolic heat that peaks approximately 2 to 4 hours after eating. Experienced Chicago survivors time their heaviest meal to late evening so their body's peak heat production aligns with the coldest overnight hours. High-fat items are targeted specifically. Peanut butter from food banks, butter and cheese from church distributions. Fat takes more energy to digest than carbohydrates or protein, and that extra metabolic effort translates directly into internal warmth. The hot liquid matters as much as the solid food. A cup of soup or coffee raises core temperature immediately on contact with the stomach lining. Shelters and outreach programs distribute hot drinks continuously during extreme cold events. The night ministry runs a health outreach bus that moves through the city on scheduled routes during winter, parking at CTA stations like the Blue Line's Forest Park stop, handing out food, warm clothing and medical supplies, and something that matters more than most people realize: human contact. Someone asking, "Are you okay?" and meaning it. But the mathematics of hunger at -20 are different from the mathematics of hunger at 40 degrees. A human body at rest in moderate temperatures burns roughly 1,800 calories per day. A body fighting sustained sub-zero exposure burns 3,000 to 4,000 calories per day. That gap means a person eating a single soup kitchen meal is still running a calorie deficit large enough to weaken their cold resistance by the following night. Convenience stores become critical. A $1 menu item at a fast food restaurant provides calories and 30 minutes of heated indoor space. Gas stations with hot dog rollers and coffee machines offer the same. When you see someone standing inside a gas station for a long time during a polar vortex, they are not browsing. They are refueling a body that is burning through energy faster than it can replace it. Eating solves the fuel problem. But at -20, with wind chills pushing -50, even a well-fed person with proper layers cannot stay outside indefinitely. You need to get underground or get inside. And Chicago has infrastructure for that, hidden in plain sight, that most residents with homes have never thought about. The CTA's Red Line and Blue Line trains operate 24 hours a day. That operational detail is a scheduling decision for commuters. For thousands of homeless Chicagoans, it's a survival system. A heated train car moving through the city all night long costs $2.75 to board and provides warmth, shelter from wind, relative safety, and a seat for as long as you can ride without being asked to leave. During the worst cold snaps, hundreds of people board the trains at night with no destination. They ride from one end of the line to the other, sleeping in seats, thawing their hands against the heating vents, existing in a metal tube that maintains 68 degrees while the world outside tries to kill them. The red line runs from the far south side to the north side and back. The full loop takes roughly 2.5 hours. Some people ride it 3 times in a single night. The motion helps. A moving body generates slightly more metabolic heat than a stationary one, and the gentle rocking of the train keeps people in a light sleep state, rather than the dangerous deep unconsciousness that extreme cold can produce in someone who stops moving entirely. The CTA acknowledges this reality. Outreach workers from organizations like Thresholds and Haymarket Center ride the red and blue line specifically to engage with homeless riders, offering services, shelter referrals, food, and medical screening. In the first 9 months of 2023 alone, those outreach workers logged more than 5,000 encounters with people sheltering on trains. The trains are not comfortable. They're not quiet. You get robbed sometimes. You get woken up by security sometimes. But they are warm, and they run 24 hours, and they don't require an application or a background check or a bed that doesn't exist. The trains are breathing room. Above ground, the Pidway system offers the daytime version of the same principle. More than 40 blocks of underground tunnels, corridors, and building connections run beneath downtown Chicago. Built starting in 1951 to help pedestrians avoid weather, the Pedway connects over 50 buildings, CTA stations, office buildings, and retail spaces, while maintaining heated temperatures during business hours. During extreme cold, homeless individuals move through the Pedway, the same way the rest of the city moves through hallways. It has restrooms, outlets for charging phones, food vendors, heated air, and no wind. It closes at 5 in the afternoon on weekdays, which means it solves daytime survival only. But 8 hours of warmth during the day preserves the body's heat reserves for the night ahead. Steam grates on downtown sidewalks provide another source of residual warmth. Hot air from underground systems rises through metal grates at street level, creating small zones where the temperature is 10 to 15 degrees warmer than the surrounding air. People huddle on them. Not ideal, not dignified, but measurably warmer than the concrete 6 feet away. Hospital emergency rooms serve as the final layer of the indoor system. They are open 24 hours, heated, staffed, and legally unable to turn away a person who walks through the door. During polar vortex conditions, emergency rooms across Chicago see sharp spikes in foot traffic from people who are not injured, but who are hypothermic, frostbitten, or simply have nowhere warm to sit. It is an expensive misuse of medical infrastructure. A single emergency room visit costs the system hundreds of dollars, but it keeps people breathing. And for many, especially those with existing health conditions that shelters cannot accommodate, it is the only indoor option available. All of these systems, the tents, the trains, the tunnels, the emergency rooms, are triage solutions for a city that does not have enough beds. But there is one more layer of survival that does not appear on any city resource guide, and it is the one that determines who makes it through the night. Chicago's Homeless Survival Network runs on information passed mouth to mouth and phone to phone in real time. Which warming center still has space at 11 at night? Which church opened its basement for overflow? Which hospital is not pushing people out after 2 hours? Which shelter has beds remaining versus which one filled at 4 in the afternoon? And will not tell you that until you walk the 8 blocks to get there. During the 2019 polar vortex, the city added 500 emergency beds, 13% above normal capacity. That still was not close. Thousands of people remained outside. Mutual aid groups across the city formed encrypted group chats to coordinate supplies and logistics in real time. Blankets, hand warmers, hot food, socks, and rides to warming centers got dispatched through text messages between volunteers who had never met face to face. Some of those volunteers drove their personal cars to encampments at 1 in the morning with trunkloads of supplies purchased with their own money. The night ministry's outreach bus became a mobile triage unit during the worst nights, checking body temperatures at encampments and making immediate transport decisions based on what they found. Frostbite on the feet that had progressed past the reversible stage. Confusion or slurred speech indicating moderate hypothermia. An inability to stop shivering, or worse, the shivering stopping entirely, which signals the body has abandoned the fight. Sleeping on cold pavement produces joint damage, respiratory distress, and skin breakdown from moisture trapped inside shoes worn for days without removal. The health consequences of a single polar vortex week can last months. One anonymous donor during that same polar vortex paid for 70 hotel rooms on the south side for homeless individuals whose propane tanks had just been confiscated by the fire department. 4 days of shelter, 70 people who would have otherwise spent those nights in tents stripped of their primary heat source. That act made national news because it was extraordinary, but the network of ordinary people checking on each other every winter, sending texts at 2 a.m. asking you still up, sharing which Walgreens has the cheapest hand warmers this week, driving blankets to encampments at midnight. That network operates every single winter, and it never makes the news, and it never stops running. One outreach worker described the whole system as a city underneath the city. Not the pedway or the freight tunnels. A human network running on the same principle as the CTA trains. Keep moving, keep checking, keep circulating warmth and information. The moment someone goes still and nobody notices is the moment people die. So what does survival actually look like in Chicago at -20 degrees Fahrenheit? It looks like a tent under a viaduct with tarps pulled tight and a blanket nailed across the entrance. It looks like 3 people sharing body heat on a layer of cardboard with every piece of clothing they own piled on top of them. It looks like a woman timing her soup kitchen meal so her metabolism peaks at 3 a.m. when the wind chill hits -50 degrees Fahrenheit. It looks like a man on the blue line at midnight riding to O'Hare and back with his hood up and his eyes half open, not going anywhere except away from the cold. It looks like an outreach worker on a bus checking someone's toes under a fluorescent light. It looks like a text message at 2 a.m. that just says, "You good?" and a reply that just says, "Yeah." -20 degrees Fahrenheit. The city tells you to stay inside. 68,000 people find a way to build an inside from whatever they can reach. Trains, tunnels, tents, tarps, cardboard, body heat, peanut butter, and each other. Since 2006, roughly 250 people have died from cold exposure in Cook County alone. Not all of them were homeless, but enough of them were to make one thing clear. The problem isn't that people don't know how to survive the cold. They clearly do. Look at what they built. The problem is that a city with 3 million heated apartments still can't find a warm room for everyone who needs one on the coldest night of the year. If this changed how you see things, subscribe so you catch the next one.